You're watching SBA Today. With all the latest news, stories, and advice, here are your hosts, Paul Long and Tanya Mazurek.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to SBA Today for the week of October 28th, where our motto is likely helpful, definitely entertaining.
Especially.
What up, Tanya?
What up, dude? Now, okay, wait. You have got to tell me. Tell us all. Who
Well, I go by P Money. I kind of stole that one from you. However, I'm just a BDO because this is how BDOs look. This is how BDOs act. See, exactly. Dollar bills.
Oh, this is a $100 bill, baby. Look at it. Making it rain. Making it rain.
That's right.
So who am I?
And what are you, Tanya?
Okay, wait. I'll step back a little bit.
Oh,
here's a
Lady
little
Gaga.
thing. Yep.
Lady Gaga?
Oh, you got it. Yes. Ready?
See, no, absolutely. I got it now. It was the dress is what.
I had to step back for it, right? And I got to tell you, I wore this thing a couple of years ago, and yeah, that was to a party, and I may have had fishnets on. This time, I think it's up at my waist, and so I actually have leggings on. Thank you very much.
Now you know what it's like when she's up there singing.
Dude, no way in heck. Anyway, okay, guys. So now that we've had a little bit of fun up front here, we are going to get into the new servicing and liquidation SOP, and that is going to be on Paul because I don't know. And I know, right? Power of connection and a discussion on the part-time and what that looks like with competition for both sellers and buyers.
So let's talk about power of connections. So I got to tell you a story because it was really a fun week last week. So 10 years ago, I created a personal brand. And some other SBA lenders I know out there have created personal brands, and I applaud you for doing that. And I strongly recommend any BDO out there to create a personal brand. It's been one of the best things I've ever done in my career. So when I was starting this, I wanted to see who else was doing this and reach out and make some connections. And I found a great guy out of Texas by the name of Greg Martin. He worked for Truist Bank at the time, and he has just been a great friend for quite some time. Now, because I struck up the friendship with him, he's like, hey, Paul, you need to meet this guy and listen to this podcast called Banking on Digital Growth. His name's James Robert Lay. Mm-hmm. Great podcast. Loved it. If you're a banker nerd like me, please go get it where you get your podcast.
Oh, wait.
It's called Banking on Digital Growth.
We got to stop on the nerd. I'm sorry. I'll let you finish it. I will. You nerded out this whole weekend. And we got to stop on the nerd because that was amazing.
True. It's true. It's a
You're
big week.
You're an amazing nerd, and people are so lucky to have you. Just going to say that. And keep going.
So I eventually went on his podcast about personal branding. It was about 4 years ago, and stuck up and had a friendship with him. Well, a month ago, I thought to myself, you know what? How can I pay it forward? There's got to be someone else that I know that he needs to connect with. Well, it's a guy that we all know named Ray Drew, our podcast godfather. And so guess who went on his podcast last week? Ray. Mm-hmm. So why do you care about that? Well, connections breed other connections. Mm-hmm. What's important is who are you connecting to? Like, for example, Tanya, do you know who Bill Fernandez is?
No.
So Bill Fernandez went to high school with two guys named Steve. Okay. They introduced each other together. And the two Steves struck up a friendship and eventually became a business relationship with a very large tech company that we all have in our pockets right now. And that's Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak of Apple. So the question is, how were you, Bill Fernandez, today? How have you made a connection today for somebody else in your network to have them grow? And then finally, I think about us, Tanya. We knew each other through LinkedIn.
Yes.
Oh, did we ever communicate and talk? Not really. I just kind of knew you from afar.
Right.
Now look at us. We do a podcast together because of the connection with
Because
Ray.
of Ray, yeah.
And it just, again, these connections mean to me so much because that's how you grow your influence out there. And so
Well, and you
I
want to
just
know how part of that happened too, is I reached out to Ray because I really liked what he was doing on there. And I was just getting into like doing my Tanya's tidbits and stuff like that. So I reached out to him, and you know what? I didn't reach out to him and hey, but I was like, I really like what you're doing. I would, I'd love any pointers, this, that, and the other. And so it got us talking that way. It wasn't, it was a compliment to him, right? I didn't just reach out and it's like, oh, it's all about me, blah, 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 right? I put it back. And then we were talking about this, and then he's like, oh, you know what? You'd be really great at this. And you know what? You'd be really great at this with this person. And he really did do well because everybody loves our kind of, the way we work together, which I do too. It's amazing.
Yep.
But here's what I'd like to say to that, because the connections can go with us making them for either our borrowers, and when we can't do something, we can make that connection, or brokers or anything along those lines, right? So we can do it in the networking and whatnot, and do it well, and it becomes a positive. But there's also the negative side of this that I want to just make sure people are real clear, not specifically, or I don't particularly care for. When somebody reaches out to you, give a reason basically for them to get back to you, whatever that might be. If it's all one-sided, like I get a ton of things in my LinkedIn box, can you connect me with your IT person? Or, can you do it? And it's like, one, I've tried that before and I got my hand slapped, right? Because it's just it's not my role. Go find them. The second, though, is if they send something where get on my calendar to discuss, well, I don't know what the benefit is yet. And we're all very, very busy. So I just think take a little extra time too, when you're doing the connections, to make sure that it's a benefit to everyone, not just yourself. So
that is true. That is true.
Anyway. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into, because, I love the connection thing. Well, this is kind of a connection. It's a connection because I don't know anything about it, and I'm going to let you tell me. So the servicing and liquidation SOP that starts December 1st. Now, Paul, I'm going to put this on you because you do that back office. I'm front office. I have some questions, mind you, maybe one or two, but past that, tell us what's coming down the line and why.
So I have started, as if you guys follow me on LinkedIn, I've printed my SOP. I got my highlighter. As this weekend, I watched Shark Tank while I was highlighting my thing. I really geek out on that, as you very well know, Tanya.
I do, and I love it because it takes all of us, man.
So this new SOP starts on December 1st, and it's important that you guys all at least aware of that. Now, for most BDOs out there, you probably only open that. Well, let me rephrase that. You never open up the servicing SOP. Let's call it what it is. You got other people for that, okay?
I admit it.
So, but it is very interesting if you really want to grow as a leader to absolutely go through that, read it, and make sure that you understand what happens at the back end of loans sometimes that we have to do. So I don't have any specifics at the moment because there's not a whole lot of changes. It's more clarification is what this new SOP does. And so that is the main thing. Think about as a BDO, how often do you get a call? Hey, I need to refinance my home mortgage. And you're like, right? Nobody wants to deal with that because that involves a credit write-up and servicing and all this stuff that, let's be real, you already got paid your money. Like, you're done, right? Well, there's a lot more that has to go into that. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be more of that. So over the next few weeks, we'll be going into more on the servicing and some of those changes on there.
Yeah. And from a BDO perspective, like the front end, you are right. If this were changes on the SOP 10.7.1, then yeah, I might be digging into that thing because that's something that I deal with on a daily. The back end, not so much. That's my processors and whatnot. So I did reach out to one of my processors and I was like, what is something that you're hoping for? And she is looking forward to when the new matrix comes out. Now, you might be able to talk a little bit about that matrix, Paul.
So there is hope that the matrix comes out next week, because once everything comes out on the SOP, it's right there. Then they can start updating the matrix. Do I expect anything major on the matrix? No, I don't. We haven't had an update to this SOP in quite some time. I think it's like 5 or 6 years. So we will have a new updated servicing sheet. And of course, make sure you use that for all of your servicing actions, dear God. But that will be coming out hopefully next week. Next week is Nagel. So that would be a great time for them to roll something out kind of cool like that. So
and then for me, and what I would tell all of you BDOs out there, those that are on the front end that don't really deal with these matrices or deal with the back end servicing and liquidation SOPs, we kind of do anyway, because if they're a pain or if it's difficult to manage or get through them, that means it's taking time away from our office, our processors and whatnot or closers or liquidators, those who are trying to do things on the back end. And if it's taking time away from them because there's things that are confusing that need upped, it really does take away time from us and the borrower. So it really does affect everybody.
True.
So maybe I should nerd out on it, Paul.
You should totally nerd out. Come on, you nerd out on the other SOP. What's another 223 pages?
Yeah, well, no, I got enough going on that front one. I'll let you do that. You can fill me in with the rest of them. But anyway. So let's get to the next. When a borrower or a buyer or a seller actually comes to you and says, I only work part-time in the business. Now, there's a lot of things around that, Paul, but what is your interpretation sometimes, or what could our interpretation be when somebody comes to us that way?
Part-time in the business does make my hair on my neck stand up a little bit, just because, let's understand the business. Do you have to be in the business? Is it one of those types of businesses? How many employees do you have? Let's talk about key employees, all of that type stuff. If you're only working part-time in the business, especially when you just purchase it, that scares me as your commitment to the actual business itself.
Or are they saying that because they actually work so much and they don't want us to actually realize how much they work, right? Because they're trying to sell this business to somebody that, you don't really have to work a whole lot.
Right. And sometimes
I work 80, now I work 65. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. But part-time, it depends on the business. I have a situation right now where there's a lot of key employees. The person has a very good outside full-time job. We're closing on the loan next week. He's buying this business. He is working on it part-time. The last 3 owners have been completely absentee. So there's a story. I got around it. I felt better about it, and we moved on. So,
and keep in mind, people, SBA doesn't like absentee owners. They don't.
That's not the point of the program. Is they want to create jobs, etc. What I sometimes have a problem with is when you have borrowers that, I'm going to buy. I'm just going to make something up. I'm going to buy a craft store, and I'm going to buy a teriyaki restaurant, and I'm going to buy a tech company, and you're like, where the hell does all that fall through? Like, that makes no sense at all. Those I can't get behind. Multiple locations, all of that, sign me up.
Right. No. Well, yeah, because it's the same basic thing, and you can put people in other locations, but you're still got your hand on the temperature, basically. So anyway, all righty. So how about we don't have any competition?
Really? So you have no competition. If I Google, you have the only thing, you're a specialty business, let's call it that. I would have a lot more information that I'm going to need about this business. If it truly is, you have no competition, then where's the demand? Because demand creates competition, right? So, if you want to be Microsoft, that's fine. Then there's Amazon and there's other competitors to Microsoft. So that one I have a hard time with. What about you, Tanya?
Look at this. Look at Ray's question. What if I wanted to buy a social media site, car company, rocket company, and tunnel digging company? Ray, if anybody could freaking do it, it probably would be you.
Well, no, I know exactly where he's going because he's down in Florida with Elon's Texas, actually. But yes, that is That's Elon, and no, I probably would not finance
Come
Elon.
on, show me the money. Show me the money. That's awesome. All right. So how about competition? What can we infer from if the translation is right? The most common translation is I don't really pay attention to our competitors, so I don't know what alternate options our customers have. What does that say to you if that's what you're hearing?
Very what are you thinking? You're thinking very small, and that is not that's not going to do well. I'm going to really have to know. This is connecting in the servicing SOP and the liquidation SOP, because I'm going to have to liquidate this thing, and I need to make sure that both of our stories connect together.
What do you think they're thinking? Because I'm reading on here, right? It's like, oh, I hope this sucker believes we have market cornered in this area and pays me a premium. Now, that might be what they're thinking. The seller's putting out there, right, for the buyer.
Right.
Our job is actually to help them as well determine, and get past some of this, let's just call it what it is, BS, and get to the next stage. But yeah,
that's true.
Have you had that one before, that competition?
I haven't had that one. I've definitely had the part-time business for the competition. I have not, thank God, because I would probably not do the loan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we're at the end. We wanted to have a little fun today. I hope you guys enjoyed kind of our little costume dress up. But, every Tuesday, we're here again. We're going to be live on LinkedIn and YouTube. Paul, on LinkedIn and YouTube. So you can get your news here and or on any podcast that you stream from. We're there as well. If you're a business owner, prospective borrower, basically, reach out to Paul there at Gisa Credit Union for Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. If it's, oh my gosh, across the board here, Colorado, Texas, Missouri, Florida, Arizona, North Carolina, and Tennessee, reach out to myself, Tanya Mazurek at Midwest Regional Bank. Don't forget our other family of podcasts, which would be Mr. Ray Drew, that's been asking some questions on here with his Art of SBA Lending and or the BDO show. We all bring something different to the table. We all have something to share, and you might get anything from any of us. So bring it up. Happy Halloween.
One thing really important. Next week, we will be on vacation. Because most of us are going to be in Vegas at Nagel. I said most.
But you should say except for the most important one, because in my head, I'm kidding.
Oh, gotcha.
But, okay, how are we going to go out with this? Ready? I'm singing.
Peace.
Hey, peace out, guys.